G'day everyone, I'm busy painting my Scythe miniatures at the moment and I'm going to finish off the airships. So I thought I might just show you exactly what it is I've been doing. So these are the 4 I've done already. We've got our Nordic one in the blue, which I use Citadel paints for. Got the yellows, which I used a spray paint on. Painted it yellow with spray paint and then put washes over the top. Not 100% happy with it, but it'll do for now. Same with the black ones. I used a black spray paint and then just touched it up with Citadel Necron compound. Give it that kind of silver look. And Polonia, I used white spray paint and then put on some Nuln oil to give it that kind of dark look. The rest of them I'm going to use solely Citadel paints. So we've got the Rusviets, Tagawa, and the other one, can't remember its name, to go at the moment. And of course the 2 secret factions from Vesna, which are Araza Fenris that I won't mention. For these, what I'm going to use is the Citadel Rathbone base, which goes really well with the washes. For Rusviet, I'm going to be using what they call Flesh Terror Red. It's a wash. It's not a wash, sorry, a contrast paint. It's really cool, very red. For the green one, I don't have the green paint here. I'm going to borrow it from my buddy Leighton, who's busy painting a bunch of his mechs. He's got an awesome green that he used for Zombicide. And for Albion, that's what they are, Albion. And for Tagawa, I've got a really dark but really cool purple in contrast called Shyish, which I used for the mechs, and I think it's great. Basically, it's really easy. This is the Nuln wash, the Nuln oil, which I think is probably the greatest thing ever invented, considering I'm new to painting. This stuff is fantastic. And I've got and I won't mention the other colours just yet. So all I'm going to do is put a base coat over these things using the Rathbone, and it just has to have something for the paints to get on. So I just pretty much paint it on. Nothing too special, doesn't need to be spectacularly good. It doesn't even matter if a bit of the normal colour shines through, because the washes I'm using are quite a lot darker and they will cover it over nicely. Just got to get it in everywhere. It won't stick to the blue, to the plain plastic, so if you don't get the stuff on the plastic, the contrast paint won't stick to it, it just runs off. So got to get it in everywhere. I use quite a thick brush, just stick it in all the holes, cover everything. I really wish these ships were different. They're all the same. I'm kind of wishing I'd spent money on and got the special ones, you know, the aftermarket ships. They look really cool. But I'll do that one day. Trouble is, if I get them, I'll have to paint them again. So it's like, oh well. I'll paint what I got and then we'll go from there. I might have to get a smaller brush to get into some of these little holes. Let's see what we can do. Squeeze it in there. There it is. Cool. Shouldn't take too long to do these. They're not as finicky as the mechs were. Just a case of getting it in all the little holes. And there's lots of them in these things. A lot of little detail around the edges, especially at the back here. Let's get it in here. Hoping I don't run out of paint. We're in level 4 lockdown here in New Zealand as of last night. We've got some cases of COVID again, so we're in lockdown, which of course isn't going to make getting paints easy, so I can't go shopping. With a bit of luck they'll be able to post them, though. That will be good. I'm in doubt whether I will have enough base to do all of these ships. That is not my idea of a good week, being locked down if I can't do what I wanted to do. Maybe it's considered essential items. We shall see. One has to paint, must be essential. Getting that. I think what I'll do is I'll do the red ship entirely. So I'll paint it with the base, I'll let it dry, and then I'll show you how I use the contrast paints. Having never painted before, this is the first time I've ever painted on my Scythe goodies. I'll say one thing, the Citadel paints make life super easy, especially the contrast paints. If you've done this before and you want to give it a go, I would highly recommend. I mean, I don't know any other paints, but these things made my life easy, so I'm going to recommend this stuff, simply because it works so well. Can't get it on too thick though, because you don't want to lose any of the details. So I'll poke that in there, and then I'll go over it again once I've got it in the little holes. And there's a lot of little holes. I'm not overly fussed if I get paint on me. It just takes a bit to wash it off, but it hasn't hurt me yet. A little hole in there. Right. That's looking good. I don't see any holes left. There we go. Gets a bit quirky when I have to do the bottom because of the way I've got to hold it. I've come up with a sly plan, but we shall see if it works properly. There it is, in there. Now, I've got to figure out, can I hold the bottom? I have to hold these little wing things. I'm going to film the whole thing just because I want you to see how quick it is to actually, I mean, it doesn't take hours to get the boat. These things are easy because they're big. It isn't too much, and of course they're the whole thing's the same colour, so that's alright. Doesn't want to go in the hole. There we go. At the top, let's see, in there. In there. I'm going to get inside these little teeny weeny holes. You'll see there's heaps of them. But it's already looking good. Red, not so red. Alright, now turn it over and we'll start a little bit on the underneath. Let's get into all these little bits around the engines. I love Scythe. It's such a good game. Little miniatures. The airships really just add a presence to the board. They're not necessary for gameplay. The expansion that they come with is really cool. It adds a bunch of game end changes and targets. So you change your normal game endings quite dramatically. You can decide whether these things are used for combat or not, whether they control territories, whether they can transport either resources or your workers. They can't transport the characters at all. They certainly can't transport the mechs, they're too big. But they're pretty epic, and they certainly take a presence on the board on their little bases floating above everything else. And they look super cool. So I think they're going to look a lot cooler when they are the same colour as their corresponding little mech units, which I'll show you in a different video. I've painted them all already, so I'll just do a run through on them. Just got to get this lot on here. It's going all over my fingers now. I'd fill that up with paint. There we go, a couple of little guns. It's guns all over this thing. Super well armed ship. It's a proper steampunk battleship. I think that's what they call it. Oh, I'm not able to frame properly. A bit of a steampunk, diesel punk kind of thing going on in Jacob's 1921 plus world. The art in Scythe is probably my absolute favourite of all game arts. I haven't seen anything, well, other than the Miko's artwork in the North Shore, Raiders of the North Sea and all the North Sea games. I think Jacob's my absolute favourite artist when it comes to gaming. Super fantastic world he's created. You can see it in Iron Harvest as well, which is a computer game. I don't play computer games, but anyway, I'll try. Right, now I've just got to do where I'm holding with my fingers. It's not going to be so easy. So I came up with this idea. I put a stick on the bottom, and I'll just get some more paint on here, and we'll try and get it into these last. There comes the sun. Typically, it's been no sun today. Now it's sunny. Messing with my video. Doesn't want to stay on the stick. Getting all little holes. And there's stuff in there that needs covering. I might have to do in those little bits when the rest dries just a little bit, otherwise it's not going to stay on this stick that I've got it on. Can't have runny bits on the edges. This paint dries in a nice way so that it lets the contrast paint be able to actually make little contrasts, gives it little places to sit in, and that. The contrast paints just don't work as nicely with standard base coats and things. This stuff is made for it, so I figured if it's made for it, you might as well use it. Try and get as much off this brush as I can before I use a smaller brush. Let's get a smaller brush. Just dip it in there, get into these last little bits in there, anything else over there is missing. Oops, there's little holes there. Doesn't want to go in those little holes. These ones in here, get it in there a little bit, and those little gaps there, side of the motor, and oh, under there, forgot about the underneath. Gonna get under here as well. Just because you don't look under there doesn't mean you don't do it. I'll know if it's not right. Nobody else will even notice it. I'll be sitting there going, oh, something wrong with that ship, I haven't done it right. The ever perfectionist. Only with this though, not fussed with much other stuff. Alright, is that everything? Where were those little gaps? Let's see. Got one of those. Got it in there. Got it in there. Hey, there's our gap. Got a gap there. A little gap on the gun. Little gaps. The gun's melting. No, it's not. Looks like it. Got a bit more over there. And I'd say that's done. Didn't take too long. Let me sort out this lighting. That's better. There we go. Base coat on. Now we just let it dry. Didn't take too long. and I'll come back and show you what Flesh Terror Red looks like, because it's pretty awesome. Cool, back in a mo. Right, I'm back. Paint is dry, check that out. All good to go, so I'm going to paint it red. Move this a bit closer because I don't want to splash paint around. So this is the Citadel Contrast Flesh Terror Red. It's a very runny paint. Be very careful you don't spill it, it would make a heck of a mess. I can't even imagine what would happen if I spilled it. We'll use this brush here. Watch what this does when you put it on. Check out that. Ooh, red. That's proper red. See why they call it Flesh Terrors. It's for some other game, I don't know, can't remember. But I really like these colours. I've got a bunch of them now. Get it on there. So what I do is I'm going to cover it with this stuff. You see how nicely it sits on that base it's made for it. Get it in there all over the place. It's really easy to get it on because it's super thin. Also, it's got to be careful you don't make it too thick. Get it in all the spots here. Look how cool that looks already. It's very shiny at the moment because obviously it's wet. And it won't be once it dries. In there, down there, on the gun. What I'll do is a lot of these are going to get highlights afterwards with the Necron dry compound that puts the silver over the top of it. You'll see that stuff's amazing. Alright, let's go down here. Gonna get in little holes. I'm not push on my paint box too hard because I'm gonna knock it over. I think that could be considered rather bad. Right. In here, you can slosh it on to start with, and then you just make sure it's not too thick or you haven't missed any bits. The nice thing with the base coat too is you can see where you've missed fairly quickly, but inevitably there'll be a spot at the end. You're like, how did I miss that? Well, it turns out it's quite easy. Alright. Get a blob of it in there and then just slush it around. In the gaps. There we go. Don't know what those guns are used to. They're useless. Not in the right place. These people don't know anything about putting guns on ships. You need to have guns mounted up there on the top where they can see things and shoot them. Or on the side. Don't even think those guns could swivel. They're the wrong shape. Those ones in there, check those. Those little things can't even swivel. They're in the wrong place. They'll hit the side of the ship or something. I don't know. Not good battleship design here. bit of extra paint, just pull out the extra bits with your brush. Look at that, isn't that cool? Yeah, good shot. There. Probably getting some farm sound effects there. You can hear the roosters outside. We're in level 4, so we shouldn't have people turning up here, but if somebody does, you'll hear the dogs go bananas, trying to eat them until they get on the other side of the gate and realize that they're tiny. Oh, look at that. See how easy it is to miss spots? I'm going to go back. Before the rest dries too much, I'm going to get it in there. Let's get some off the brush, it's a bit thick. In there I must, I'm going to get it out. Alright, let's start on here. Oops, I keep holding it too high, sorry. Okay, let's hit the side, shall we? Look at that. Oomph, red. Red, I love red. Especially this red. It's such a cool red. Let's see. Get it on nice and evenly on these sections. We'll make it look old later on. A bit of the metal coming through on the bottom, because these things are in battle, man. They're not going to stay clean like this, not a chance. And all those gaps, and then not let it look too streaky. And there. Right, let's get it on this bit here. Oops, that's a lot. That's alright. It's runny. We'll suck it out with a paintbrush like that. Get it under there, and the top there. Down the sides. That's looking good already. Right, let's do this side. A big schlumpf of paint. Another big schlumpf. I like schlumpf. Schlumpf's a good word. Don't know what it means, but it works. the holes. Make sure that we've got all these little white little dots on here, make it really hard to get it in the gaps. Haven't missed any on this side. Nope. What's that? Oh, I haven't done the top. The chimney. There we go. That thing's missing. Right. Let's get it in here. Okay. This makes my back sore, unfortunately. It's not exactly the most friendly painting position. There. The engines a bit. All right. Don't know if that's the engine or the propeller, or it's a propeller on the bottom here. There's these funny things sticking up the back. I don't know if it's part of the engine setup, or they all look the same, so it could be anything. I guess they're all made in the same factory. He wasn't fussed who he sold to. Supposed to be used for good, not evil and all that, and then boom, they went to war. No spoilers, that's all I'm going to say. You can watch some Iron Harvest playthroughs as well and see these things in action. They're pretty cool. And the mech's actually moving. Is that all of it in there? I'm not sure. Oh no, under there. So I'm going to get under there, and in there, and in there. That's all. Oh, under there too. Got to turn in all directions, looking for those little white things poking out, going, "Hey, you missed me. Hey, you didn't see me under here. I'm hiding. Stow away." There's quite a bit under there. It's hard to get to. Right. Now, that's oh no! Look, I saw it. Where did I see that? There. There, look at that. In there's hiding from me. Getting in there is not easy. Let's see if you can see where I'm trying to get. There's a lot of little, doesn't want to focus, a lot of little goodies under there. Right, let's see if we can do the bottom without dropping this thing on the floor. There's one half. Oopsie. Let's go on this side. You can maybe see what I'm doing. There's a little bit of a hole there. Let's get a last bit on around the stick. Right, let's run it down so it all looks like it's gone in the same direction. Try and get some of the excess off. Rub it on there. Alright. Quick look. Anywhere where it looks like there's white bits. It looks alright, there's nothing in there. Now we have a nice red ship. So I'll pause this and let it dry, and then I'll show you what I'm... Oh no, look! Big white bit. Missed the chimneys. So hard to spot them. More there. More there. And a bit there. And I think we're done. Oops, no, look. See? Easy to miss. There's a dot right there. Didn't get in the hole. Any more dots like that? Nope. No, we're good. Alright, I'll be back when this thing's dry and I'll show you what I do with the dry brushing and the Necron compound. Looks pretty cool, eh? Alright, ciao. I'm back. It's dried really nicely. I've done like 7 checks for little white dots sticking through. It's a little annoying how much they stick through, but anyway. Now, what we're going to use is this stuff. Where's this camera lens? Come on, focus already. Necron compound, this stuff's amazing. Well, watch anyway, I'll show you. It's fantastic. It's dry brushing. So what I do is I put it on the brush and then I just shove it all over my hand. And then it's very quick. Just put on little highlights on the metal. Got to be quick, otherwise if you put too much it just goes silver. You get all these little bottly bopple things, is that what you call them? Like the rivets, I suppose they are. And I've also got some rust. I'm thinking of putting some rust on this ship. We'll see. Gotta get a bit on the guns up here, because I'm sure they'd be more silvery than red. Gun inside here. Some stuff in there. A little bit on the edges. I don't want to put too much because I really like this red. I'm not trying to make it silver, I'm just trying to a little bit of highlight on. Maybe a bit over these engine ports. A bit on the back here. So a little bit on the red. Probably a bit on this chimney. Around there. Definitely around these chimneys. I know I'm saying it funny. Chimney. It's a chimney. I'm just being funny. I don't always speak like that. I'm not weird. Well, I am and I am, but... If anybody wants to buy an entertainment thing, there's a haunted house down here in South Auckland that's for sale. Seriously? Spookers. It's for sale. You can go and own a place where you scare the living daylights out of people. I think I'd kind of like that, actually. Alright. My dog's snoring. Where's that dog sleeping? A little bit of silver around the propeller there. I figured there'd be a bit of fluff around the back here. Around the edges. Just lightly. I'm going to go overboard. Super easy to go overboard with these things. Put some on the front. Not sure how well you can see that, but you can see compared to the previous bit. There's that silver on there, kind of on the front a little bit, down the side there, a little bit on the top, but underneath, not too much. I'll let it settle in, and then I'll see what I think of it all. While you've been away, I painted Tagawa's purple. You can see how dark that purple is. It's still drying, so it's very dark. It'll lighten up a little bit with the when it dries. It's pretty cool. See how shiny it is still. Yeah. And this one, oh, still haven't painted this one yet. I might just have enough base coat to do it. We'll see. But I haven't got the paint to go and borrow it. Hopefully I can get into lockdown. Anyway, that's how I paint the minis. I hope you like that. And I'll do some more painting videos at some other stage. Bye. Oh, don't forget to go and check out my Instagram channel. Board Games and Bacon. Baking, not bacon. Bacon's breakfast.